Pruitt once again from home once again. And I am joined tonight by a trio of, well, not guests. Well, one sort of a guest, sort of one of our crew. The other two are our longtime crew. We have Toxic Mike back at the studio.
Hey.
And Dougie Doug Hogate is finally with us via Skype.
Yes. Well, Skype, home, all that social networking bullshit.
Nice. That's what we're gonna call it.
And our crew member / guest tonight is Miss Jean Durkin.
Hey guys, how are you?
Hey.
So, it's like who we got. Somebody's got to respond. Like I said, it's like Mike said, we have to adjust. So we'll get it.
Yes.
So yeah, we're here tonight, and as I put out there earlier today, we're going to do kind of a strange type of show tonight. Something we haven't tried to do before, which is kind of interesting, seeing as how we're doing this already, kind of in a weird way. But we figured we'd double down and just say, you know what, screw it.
Great.
Let's just try something completely different.
Yes, out of your comfort zone.
Yeah,
it's going to be interesting. I'll tell you what, ever since you talked about it, I was wondering, like, how is this going to work? Because it's almost like they have to channel through more than one thing, but hey.
Just me, baby.
Yeah, that's true. It's just through you, so.
So for anybody who didn't pick up on my promo earlier today, what we're doing tonight with Jean, we're going to have her talk a little bit about what she does and how she does it, and the impression she gets when she does readings, things like that, first few minutes. And at some point, maybe halfway through the show, we're going to have Jean reach out and try and connect with spirit guide or guides. And as I said earlier in the little promo I threw out there, we have a plan for tonight, but the plan, as oftentimes happens in these shows, may not be what happens because it's really not under our control.
It never really is, but this just makes it a whole different story. So yeah.
So the plan is to have her reach out and get a hold of one of these spirit guides and do kind of an interview and have it be interactive with everybody in the chat room, and maybe they can send in some questions. Maybe we open up the phones later. We'll see how that goes. But as for what actually is going to transpire, again, Jean, you know better than anybody. It's kind of a crapshoot.
Spiritual.
Yeah.
Well, it's like she said, it really doesn't, I guess, make a difference how we're listening or receiving. I mean, it's mainly her. She's the one that receives it, and she's just got to speak it. So.
I mean, I do this all the time with clients.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So what do you mean you do this all the time? Do what all the time?
I do readings all the time with clients on Zoom, Skype, FaceTime, phone.
Yeah, right. I get that.
It doesn't matter where the client is.
But when you're reading,
it comes to me.
But when you're reading a client, you're reading a specific client. You're not really reading a specific person tonight. You're kind of just
reading
generally,
the group.
like generally reaching out.
So it's the same as if I was on stage in front of a couple hundred people.
Right.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Right. Now, do you think it really makes, I mean, have you found in the past doing it through video compared to just a phone call? I mean, have you found it to be any different, easier, or is it about the same?
It's the same on my end, except for the technological issues. If I'm buffering or something like that, but I'm working on that. That gets a little frustrating. Sometimes I'll just throw that all to the wind and pick up the phone. But, other than that, it's the same. It works the same way.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So basically the it's almost like it sounds like the spirit knows who it is that you're reading for. So you don't necessarily need to know the name or where they are or even see them or whatever. It is whatever you're getting is what you're getting.
Right.
And you're trusting that that's related to whoever you're talking to.
Right. If this were an in-person group, what would happen is spirit would come through and I'd say, they'd start giving me things that I needed to let the audience know who it is. They give me pieces of evidence. Okay, I'm from Staten Island, or I'm a father and I had 3 daughters, and then it'll start picking. Okay, and then somebody will raise their hand and say, I think that's me. And then I'll go to them and say, okay, well, What about this? Yes, no. No, I go find somebody else.
Right.
It's interesting too, sitting here thinking about it on an aspect of like investigating or paranormal investigating, of these things. In what we're doing right now, we're obviously, again, not in person. We're doing this through all of us communicating through wavelengths and different wavelengths than what we hear when we're next to each other. So is it possible that as you're receiving a message, and if it's got enough energy, is there a chance that maybe one of us could potentially hear an EVP, so to speak, with what we would call it?
No.
Okay. So it's because it's all in your head?
Yeah, because right now I'm not doing. That's something totally different.
Well, that's always something I've wanted to do. And we were talking briefly about this before all this madness happened, was to record a reading, and with using the technological tools, the EVP, the Ghost Box, or whatever, the modified Xbox, and see if we can pick up anything in the surrounding area for either the sitter or for Jean, or both, and see if there's any kind of like literal, physical, tangible proof of something being in that area or affecting that area. I think it would be a really interesting thing to do, and I actually haven't ever seen that done. I'm sure someone must have thought to do that at some point, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I'll tell you right off the bat. It was when I first met Jean, when we investigated her house.
Oh, when you did? Would you?
Yeah,
she did a reading.
Yeah, well, when I first met Jean and we did the investigation on her house, her and especially her daughter, I would ask a question in an EVP session. She and her daughter would say the answer, and sure enough, I'd actually captured a few EVPs, at least on that level of it. Yeah. And that was a shock. I mean, we weren't planning that. So if that was something planning ahead, I would have probably come in and tried a little bit more, like you were saying. So,
but I'd be interested to get, a FLIR camera or something like that. The Xbox, the modified Xbox, something like that.
Doing a regular reading versus a paranormal investigation.
What's this now?
Doing a regular reading versus a paranormal investigation.
Treating a reading as if it were a paranormal investigation.
Right. Okay, that Ghost Box thing.
Yeah.
Well, seeing how the atmosphere changes as we've recorded in the past during an investigation when a spirit's present, what happens when you open yourself up and bring yourself into that atmosphere, taking those same readings? I understand. Yeah. Right. That would be very interesting, and I think it'd be great to test. Yeah.
Yeah. So now, have you done those type of readings, Jean? I think you did when you were with James Van Prague, right? When you did the full audience reading.
Yeah, I've done a couple of them.
So how does that compare with sitting and doing a reading either on the phone here with us or one-on-one with a client? Is there considerably more activity because there's more people, or does it matter?
It doesn't matter because they're all very much very courteous to each other.
The spirits?
Yeah. And they kind of wait in line. I actually have a picture. I don't know if I've ever shown it to you. Right after San Diego, James was doing a gallery reading at the Coronado Hotel, which is a very famous hotel in San Diego on Coronado Island. And it's a very haunted hotel. And you can actually see the spirits the way I see them when they're waiting in line. And it looks like orbs on a flight pattern, getting ready to land on a landing pad.
Huh. That's interesting.
That's how I see them.
Wow.
Until the first person comes up. And then the first person comes to my right side and starts speaking to me, gives me things that, gives me evidence pieces so I can find who it is. Then I do my reading, they leave, and then the next person comes in.
So do you find that the most urgent information is the information that comes through? In other words, if someone in the back of that line has something really urgent to say, that will come through? Or do you go through your readings and then later that night somebody goes, hey, you didn't get my message, You know what I'm saying?
Like button
well,
in
you know,
front
they
of you or
bother
something.
me
Yeah.
later on all the time. That's one of my biggest things is, 5 hours later, I'm like, what?
Right.
They're really very courteous to each other. So if somebody at the end of the line has something really important, they'll let them go first.
Yeah.
They're really very courteous for the most part. Every now and then, I'll get that really pushy mom, like when everybody loves Freeman, who jumps to the front of the line and pushes people out of the way.
Right.
Well, what's funny that if you remember, that happened. I think it was the first time we met you, first show you did with us,
right.
when we did the girl who won the contest to have a reading done.
Okay.
Remember that?
Yeah, that's right. The girl who you'd predicted that she was going to be proposed to, and I didn't think it happened.
And well, you said during that reading that there was you were reading for her.
Okay.
But somebody pushed through, and it was a message for like a neighbor of theirs where their son had like died in some accident or something, and really wanted to get a message through to their folks that her parents knew. Okay. So it was like this situation where like somebody pushed ahead of the grandmother or something.
I remember that. Yeah.
Who does that?
Her name was Lindsay. If someone she knew, it was a mess. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. It was way back.
George Costanza.
It was years ago, but yeah, it was crazy, right? Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I can see what you're saying. It's almost like you have a line of people wanting a reading, and then you have another line of the ones they're trying to communicate with to give that, honestly, reach out.
The hardest part really for me is the people who are in the audience who want the reading, and they're like, please come through, mom, 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 mom. Please come through. When you come through, mom, please say that magic thing that we talked about before in the card. Come on, come on, come on, come on. And that actually pushes them away. It pushes the energy. And
so they're literally saying this?
Yeah, people do that all the time. And on the way to a reading, oh, please come through. Oh, please come through. I'll do anything if you come through. Oh, come on. And it literally pushes them away. And it makes it very difficult for me. Sometimes I'll have somebody in line and they get pushed back.
Why and
later I'm like, what happened? And it's the more you push, it's a force.
So they're pulling, you think, right? Like they're trying to pull them towards themselves to talk to them and to interact with them.
But when the energy comes through, it comes through as a push kind of energy. When you're like, please, and it comes through as an energy push, and it literally pushes them away, and it makes it very difficult.
It's the same concept, for example, not to interrupt, like when you're investigating. It's like after a song, when you're doing an EVP session, don't keep going, because again, you could have that energy reverse. Yeah.
Doug, I'm sure you're talking right now, but you're like on a Commodore 64 there.
That's great.
To me, that's how they come through.
That's awesome.
No, I didn't know if you caught anything I said. No, I was just saying it's much like the same thing during an investigation when we're doing an EVP session. If you're not getting any responses or any activity, that's why you learn in doing it to stop. Don't keep pushing, because you can have, like Jean said, that reverse effect with energy. And again, like you said, push them, draw that away.
Here's what's interesting about that, though. If you hear anybody, and I've heard many different people say this, and maybe it's a different thing when you're not talking about dealing with a medium, but a lot of people will say that if you want to interact with, say, your grandmother or your sister or your mother, or whoever it might be, let's say in the dream state, to ask for that to happen, to constantly ask for that to happen, whether it's verbally or mentally, to ask for that to happen over and over. And eventually, I guess that builds up and you get your interaction at some point, a week later, a month later, 6 months later, whatever. But that's the way that I've heard to do it.
In a different manner.
Now, you're saying something like, that's not good. And you know what I'm saying? There's a dichotomy there.
There's more of an energy force when you're going to a gallery reading, because this is your one time with the medium and you're really pushing. Mm-hmm. But if you want somebody to come through for you, and you can just ask them. If I want my mother, it's much easier for her to come through if I'm like, okay, in a calm, relaxed state. Ma, could you please give me a sign so I know you're here? Ma, could you please give me a message so that I know you're around, or can you help me with this? Is much different than, Ma,
right,
come on, which
So
I've been known to do.
It's the urgency of that one moment. You're trying to say, this is my one shot to deal with a medium. So
Yes.
yeah. All right.
And you push it away.
Yeah. Now, as far
Plus,
as
people got to be careful what they wish for, because if they think they're trying to beg, they could end up developing a spirit themselves. And what they think, if they're not doing it the right way, what they think is innocent or could be their mother, they could be putting out energy that they're not intentionally putting out negative, and create their own type of spirit that could draw in something that will confuse them, if that makes sense. If you get what I'm laying down. No. I'm trying to. It's crazy because you know how much I talk, but I'm trying to hurry before I see poor connection, and it's like I'm not getting my point across. No. So
I get what he's saying. If you have that needy, energetic feeling, that that needy human energy,
right?
You can open up to a poltergeist. You can open up to something because if you're not careful.
Right, exactly. So that's basically my point. So thank you for that.
It's almost like you're opening a door willy-nilly and letting anything come through because you're hoping the thing you want to come through comes through.
All right. And if it's something negative enough and it knows that's what you want, it's going to trick the hell out of you to, try to break it down if that's its intention. So,
but here's the thing, though. We all have spirit guides. And what we all also have is a gatekeeper. And the gatekeeper, look at you.
Made me think of Ghostbusters and
yeah, I am the key master.
That's Mike's safe word.
That is my safe.
You don't know what that is.
Told you not to tell my safe word.
But you have this gatekeeper, and this gatekeeper will protect you. Now, when I'm doing readings, especially gallery readings, but any reading I do, I check with my gatekeeper first. And when I'm in a gallery and I have all those spirits, what do you call that guy at the front of the line, that like the bouncer?
Yeah, like the bouncer. I was sitting there thinking, right, you're on the list.
You go next, you wait in line. Hey, knock it off. Don't get too pushy. He takes anything that's negative and gets rid of it, so I don't have to worry about any of that.
Wow.
But I have a really good relationship with my gatekeeper. My classes with James, and when I was doing the mediumship too, like 2 years ago now. Wow, that went quick. He teaches you how to do daily activities, and then you meet with your guides on a daily basis. So my gatekeeper's like an Arabian kind of guy. He's really hot.
What do you got Aladdin as your gatekeeper or something?
Almost. He looks like that. He's ripped, and he's got the pants, and he doesn't have the shirt, and his name, I never say it right. His name is Ratiki, not Rafiki.
Ratiki.
And he doesn't say much, and he's got his hands folded, and he nods to me, and
so you got the male Barbara Eden, basically.
Yeah.
I dream of Ratiki.
Sounds like it could be a new sitcom, CBS.
Well, I am a handful, so I need somebody who can,
So, and I know this is probably going to be different for you because you're so used to doing this, but I hear, I'm trying to look at this from a perspective of somebody who's listening in that hasn't been in our world for the last 7 years, in your world for your whole life.
Yeah.
And I'm hearing you say these words, and I understand you on a literal level, but what I'm also thinking is, well, how do I know that's not just my own internal dialogue talking to me when I'm hearing, quote unquote, hearing my spirit guide or whoever it might be?
Okay. So it's very, very subtle. I don't know about any of you, But when I'm hearing my internal voice, she's pretty loud. She's fast. She's, this is a very subtle knowingness. It comes through, like my readings do, thoughts into words. There's a feeling, a knowingness, it's kind of, I use all the senses I have. I joke around and tell everybody I'm a mutt medium because I'm a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little bit of this all rolled into one. So it's very subtle, and I have to get down into a space where my mind is blank, and then it comes in.
Now, let me ask you.
That's like a lot of concentration to be able to distinguish that. So, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's a lot of work. People don't think it's a lot of work.
Well, let me ask you this, because I asked that for a reason. You and I had a conversation a few days ago about a situation I had recently.
Yes.
Where I thought that maybe that had happened to me. And I've been thinking about this for a few days to think about how I would answer that question if it were asked of me. And to me, it would seem like, at least that situation, I was abnormally, irrationally confident in what I was hearing, and that what I was hearing would work. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. It's kind of like I say, I know that I know that I know. I don't know how I know. I just know.
Right.
It's like you have that sense. You know for a fact it's not you, in a sense, saying it to yourself.
And it's a weird thing because you're not guessing. You, on some level, you just like, yeah, that's going to work.
Like something else. Yeah. Okay. Wow. Interesting.
There's also a spot, and Rick, we've discussed this before because I know this has happened to you. You're just going about your daily business, and all of a sudden, this thought comes almost ramrod through your head like a lightning bolt. And sometimes there's an electric shock type. And in your case, it was the dogs in the door, but that is your spirit guide alerting you to danger. That is your spirit guide getting your attention immediately because it needs to be taken care of. Or in my case, I was not listening. I was not on my path. I was not doing what I knew I should be doing. Mm-hmm. So that's when those started to come in.
Yeah. And what Jean's talking about real briefly is I had a situation a couple of years ago. I was driving away from my house and I had this like almost out of nowhere, this panicked feeling like I forgot to shut the back door. And we have 13 animals here. So if that back door is open, we're screwed. So I called Taryn and had her check the door, and it wasn't open, but it wasn't all the way closed. And if any of those dogs had messed with the door, it would have kicked it open.
Wow.
But that feeling was a panicked feeling that was not rational. Like I was just driving to the store or wherever the hell I was going.
Right.
And all of a sudden, like out of the blue, I got this like thought like, oh shit, I gotta fix the door.
It's almost like somebody's in the passenger side being like, did you remember to do that? Like, oh my God, you didn't fix the door kind of thing. It's like only in your head, so to speak.
It's almost like a lightning bolt. It comes in very quickly. For me, it comes in on a diagonal, but it comes in very quickly. It's startling. Did you ever just be hanging around and all of a sudden you hear somebody call your name? You just heard that. But
I haven't heard that.
Has ever happened?
No, I was going to say more along the lines of where you're not really thinking about something and it suddenly pops in your head like, whoa, I just remembered that out of nowhere. I mean, I don't know if that's along the same thing. Where
it's something important, yeah. Or
right, that's what I mean, yeah.
I rely on my guides for stuff like that all the time because I'm busy. I'm running from here to there. I got these kids. I got this dog who thinks he's a toddler. So my brain is something. I'm in a rush or I need something. I'll stop and I'll take a break and I'll ask my guides to help me. And within a couple of minutes, the thought will come in, but gently.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, hey, remind me to do this kind of thing.
Yeah.
No, it's not Alexa, but it'll help me.
Yeah, I have that. It's my Alexa downstairs. She's so awesome at all that stuff.
If my Alexa dies, will her spirit still be there for me to ask?
Let's just say I have a big important meeting and everything I needed for the meeting I can't find.
I said that, and all of a sudden I'll just spell it, Alexa, clicked on my tablet.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. No, go ahead. I'm sorry, but I didn't mean to interrupt. I just thought it was funny.
But if I, I'm having this big meeting, say I'm having a job interview or whatever I'm doing, and I can't find the paperwork, or I'm going to the doctor, whatever. And I'm frantic because I have to go and I have no idea. I don't remember.
Right.
I'll take a minute and I'll sit down and I'll take a couple of deep breaths. I'll try and calm down and I'll say, Spirit guides, can you help me with this? I cannot find this. I don't, can you just give it to me? Change my thought, change my direction, go do something else for a minute. And usually it'll come in. And it'll be like, oh, okay, thank you.
All right. So let's set up what we're going to be doing for our little experiment here. And once we set it up, we'll do a break, and then we'll let you kind of gather yourself in that break, and then we'll come back and we'll.
Okay.
I guess you'll be connected, or however you want to say that. But as far as what we're doing, Jean, why don't you tell me what it is that you feel comfortable doing? Is it
okay?
Go ahead.
What I'm going to try and do, we'll see how this works, is I'm going to try and actually channel them. Mm-hmm. And just repeat everything they say to me as if they were speaking. Them
being, ideally, and again, we can't guarantee this, I guess, but them being your spirit guide.
The spirit guides, yeah. Okay. I'm going to ask for the guides to come through. They don't necessarily need to be mine. I'm going to ask for them to come through.
So no one specifically in a sense right now. It's just you're just going to open up and see what comes to you right now.
Right. I'm going to open up and give general right now what the guides want us to know. And then after that, we can get some questions and see if I can get some answers from them, or questions that I know the answer to, because sometimes I know stuff.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Well, then why don't we take our first break here, and we'll let Jean, get into her zone.
Okay.
And then come back and see if we can do this. Paradelphia on Toxic Radio, and we are in the process of doing something unique. We have Jean Durkin, our friend, our crew member, and she is a psychic medium. She's been on with us many times in the past, and each of the times she's been on before, she's read, not every time, but she has done readings over the phone. Tonight we're doing something a little different. We're trying to see if we can get her to channel either her or another, her own or another spirit guide from the other side to answer some questions for us. So with that said, we're going to talk to her, or talk to them through her. If you guys have questions in the chat room that you think of, throw them up there. Mike is reading the chat room, and he can kind of pipe in every now and then with some questions if they pop up in the chat.
I'm monitoring comments on the Paradelphia page, so if anybody wants to put a comment down also, I'm monitoring that.
Okay, that was Doug, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, with this being the case, Gina, are you ready?
Ready? I'm ready.
Okay. So, I guess the first question is, are you in contact with someone?
I am.
Okay.
I have 3 guides right now. They're my guides. Okay. My father is one of my guides, very happy-go-lucky Irishman who is kind of up in the back, having a good time. It's kind of, I'm here to watch. I'm here to have some fun. Go get it, girl.
He's tuning in.
Yeah. He gave me a kiss on the cheek right before you guys started. Call me Slugger. Go get him, Slugger. And then I have my main guide. I have my other guide over here who's a medium guide. He really doesn't say much. He's more of a hands-on kind of guy. But my guide, Nancy, is here to send a message to the masses from the higher level guides.
Okay.
Okay. So I want to talk about the energy. I want to talk about the fear. I want to talk about how you are feeling. All thought is energy.
Okay.
All of your thoughts are one. You are all one down here, and yet you seem to think you are separate. You are not. Your thoughts and your feelings contribute to the mass consciousness. What is happening is a result of many years of individual self-thinking that no longer serves you. It no longer serves the earth. There needed to be a cleansing of the earth and of, I don't know, spirit on earth. I don't know what that means, but it's not. We need to think as if we are one. Our thoughts, our feelings affect somebody else. They affect other people. In the higher realms, we communicate by thought. We cannot hide our thoughts. As human, you think you can, but you cannot. You need to learn. We hear them, we feel them, and so do other humans. It is time. It is time to think not only of yourself, but of your fellow humans and your planet. There's much fear that needs to change. You have the ability to control how you feel if you want to. You project your fear onto others when it is your fear. You treat others badly when you are in fear because you don't register your thoughts. You are responsible for your actions, in which, if you watch the negative, she said news right before that, if you watch the negative all the time and stay in fear and then go and treat others badly, that energy, I hear him reciprocates, but I feel another word I don't know, out to others. It is your responsibility to register how you are feeling and respond with kindness. There is a lot to be learned in these times, a lot to be learned. Everybody has been complaining they have no time. Now you have time, and you are complaining that you will only have time. You need to be much more grateful for what you have. I don't know who this is. Somebody else is coming in. They're like right over here. While you may have many lifetimes, this is the only lifetime you get to have as this human being. And you're not enjoying it. You're not savoring it. You're complaining or rushing through it. We will soon be living in a higher dimension. This is getting us ready for that.
How?
The energies that you are all feeling are the energies of the higher vibration. It is a difficult change. It is making people uncomfortable. Thought patterns are disturbed. There's a very large need for you to look inside yourself, to find who you really are and why you are really here. Okay. Okay. You are not really here for a Lexus SUV. What is your purpose? You spend so much time running around on to the next thing that means nothing. You need to answer these questions and become who you came here to be. These thoughts and feelings are very uncomfortable, especially for those who remain on a high frequency, always running to the next thing. Those phones are not your friend. They were not meant to become your companion. They are not here fall into and ignore other beings, especially family. You are not paying attention to life. It is a gift. There are many, many elements of being upon the earth that are gifts that you drive right by, that you miss. You're not paying attention. These times were meant for you to learn how to pay attention. That's all I got.
So these ideals are these ideas are ideal, but a lot of people out there are going to hear this and they're kind of like Missouri, like the show me state. So while it's a good idea and it sounds great, how are the mass of people out there going to buy into this if they don't have something tangible to believe in?
many will suffer. Thinking they know better. We do not interfere with free will. The choice is yours, as well as the consequences.
Mm. So can I ask a question off topic? Oh, go ahead, Doug. You want to ask something?
Oh, go ahead, because I'm having a poor connection moment.
Off of this topic a little bit, and just more in general. And this is going to sound, I don't mean this to sound sarcastic, but I literally would like to know, where are you? Where are you in relation to where we are?
We are in another dimension, a dimension in which we can be with you. And you, in many ways, could be with us if you only took the time.
Does that mean things like meditation?
Yeah, I don't know what I said, so.
Well, no, it's interesting. I mean, one of the things I'm thinking of, especially where you had just said something about we're in another. So my question to you is, when you say you're in another dimension, obviously, if you're someone that is open-minded, that could be the realm of spirits, or people believe that it's the possibility of other life form that can travel around through the universe. I mean, is this something that is this a spirit type communication here, or could we potentially be having a communication with someone that's able to travel from another, through the universe, let's say?
Yes.
Okay. Is that something that is? I mean,
yes. That's what I got
for you. It's kind of weird. It's like, so. Okay.
See, that's so normal for me. It's not weird. It's not.
Well, no,
for me, that's normal.
But see, where the answer you had said is yes. I mean, it was kind of like the answer, and it really didn't answer my question. But on the same token, I always thought of this theory too: spirits being able to travel universe. So it's kind of like, what is it exactly going on, and why, and where information from? Has it been experienced by you before?
I didn't understand that.
What? As in, what you're trying to guide us, the information you're trying to give, is because you went through all these problems before and you're trying to give guidance, or is it just your intelligence is trying to guide us through it?
Any guide who is a guide to humans has been a human before. Most guides have had the experience that you are experiencing while they were human before.
Okay.
When you say you don't interfere and that free will is a thing with us, free will can mean physical actions, and free will can mean your thoughts and intentions. Is one more powerful than the other?
Yes. Your intentions may be right, but your thoughts are not in the right frame.
Okay.
So it's almost like, yeah, like your intentions are good, but our intentions are good, but they're not correct in a sense. They're leading to badness, so to speak.
I can give you my take on that, in that your thoughts are very powerful, but your intentions are more powerful. If your intentions are good and you don't know any better, it's different, then you have the free will to actually acknowledge and intend to. That's how I took it.
Okay.
All right. What is your main job as far as dealing with your human being counterpart?
Getting them to listen is the hardest part. The main aspect is to guide them so they can have their experiences and their lessons in a joyful, peaceful manner.
Okay.
I don't know who Angela is, but somebody keeps popping through with Angela. So hi, Angela.
Angela, do you, let me look. Actually, Mellie's off to the side. Do you know anyone named Angela that may be popping through to Jean? Does that ring a bell, Angela? Just out of curiosity.
Anybody listening?
No.
Anybody in the
Somebody's
chat room, Mike? Yeah, somebody's out there.
Huh?
What's that?
They're coming through to Jean, so gone. It just keeps hearing Angela is all she's hearing. So I mean, it could be somebody listening. Mm-hmm. That's coming through. Right. I was just asked because my dad's name is Angela. But I'm wondering if it was someone coming through to say Angela. Oh no.
So, Jean, this person speaking through you is your spirit guide?
Yeah.
It's my spirit guide, but she's downloading it from higher level guides.
All right, I understand. Okay.
That's an energy level that takes a massive amount of energy that I would have to sit maybe in minutes for an hour for to get through to that. So she's kind of the buffer, and she takes it and transmits it to me.
It's almost like you want to ask, with all the stuff going on with this coronavirus stuff right now, and it's literally worldwide. It's not like it's into one spot. To go and ask the spirit guides, is this something that maybe was brought on to us as a world to kind of be an eye opener with all of the things going on? It was just kind of like dropped on us to say, whoa, calm down. Or is it just literally something that was a freak accident? Even though there's no such thing as coincidence and accidents, still, it was just something, again, that was good.
This was man-made.
Mm-hmm.
But okay. The time is being used by the other side. There is much light and love being sent to you.
Mm-hmm.
We are working with you. You have the power to help. Send light, send love. It transforms everything.
Is there a tipping point that is being waited for this to end, or is this just going to be one of those things where it goes on and we have to deal with it for an extended period of time?
That is yet to be determined.
Mm.
And can I say on that I think that's got a lot to do with us sending love and light and kindness. We have a lot to do with that.
Mm.
Okay.
Interesting. Because, yeah, I mean, that was a big thing that has come to my mind a lot, especially with this whole.
Sorry. In worldwide meditation, we are working very hard. We are on the front lines. For those suffering emotionally, for their loved ones being alone, we are there. Worldwide meditations are important. They can make a shift. The energy and vibration is strong. We feel it and we respond. So I'm sorry, Doug, you were saying something. I couldn't hold that one.
It was really just to follow up with what I had asked a couple minutes ago, with something that was in my mind about the fact, like, with this not just being centered to a certain area, this is worldwide, everyone's suffering. Was this maybe something that was brought on by a bigger picture as a way for the world someone to say for us here in the world, like, whoa, y'all need to slow down here for a minute because you're getting awfully close to being the end, so to speak?
It wasn't brought on by the other side. It was brought on by us here. But are we being paused? Are we being guided to take a pause? Absolutely. Are we being guided to say, hey, wait a minute, your planet's a mess. This can't go on too much longer. You need to fix it. They are using this absolutely to get us back to where we need to be. Right.
Like you had said, it said, we're taking this opportunity to make something of it, at least. So.
Did I say that? Okay.
Yeah.
The words come through. It's even worse than reading. I don't remember 2 minutes later.
So one of the things that was mentioned was that you or they are frustrated that we don't listen to them. Is there something or some way that we would know for sure that it is them speaking with us?
Absolutely. When you take the time to learn, you will know when you know.
Sound like my favorite teacher.
I'm sure you don't get it, but I get it. You'll know when you know.
Mike, do we have anything going on?
Kind of like if you're learning how to cook something, you screw it up a couple times, and then you finally get it, and you're like, there you go. Got it now.
Sounds like everything my ex-girlfriend used to tell me. You'll know when you know.
Yeah. I always have to screw shit up 3 times before that's how we do it.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. That's how it went. Yeah.
I think in the chat room, because there's people coming in and there's people like chilling, but I think they're really just paying attention to what's going on. Not a lot of talking. So same as me.
I was gonna. Yeah, same kind of thing here. I was going to say there's a lot of people that are insights, like we're sharing on the page. There's a lot of reaction where people, you can tell, are clicking on it. And I think when they're logging in and hearing what is being said, it's kind of like, well, hold on a minute. This is some good information, so to speak.
And, that's kind of one of the big learning spots of this whole thing, too, is the instant negativity that we have as human beings lately. That needs to change. There needs to be a lot more compassion. There needs to be a lot more tolerance.
Right.
I can get down with that.
I don't know if anybody has any regular questions for me, because I can answer those too. But don't ask me, is somebody behind me, because I'm not doing that.
What is that? I was going to ask you about that shadow, but yeah. No,
wow.
My shadow? No.
She caught it the other day.
It's like that TikTok
Oh,
video.
okay. Yeah, there you
Did
go.
anybody see that TikTok video?
I didn't hear you.
TikTok video?
Did anybody see that TikTok video that people are flipping over with the guy dancing and the head coming into the stairs?
No.
No.
I don't know anything about TikTok. My kids do.
Gene's all over TikTok.
Yeah, well,
Gene, give out your TikTok name.
Yeah,
Gene's on there
my niece is a
dancing.
TikTok wizard, apparently.
Yeah, I was just saying my clock makes that noise.
no. Oh, I saw it on Yahoo, but everybody's talking about this guy's doing this dance, and in the back there's a head that sticks through, and they're saying it's not human. I watched this thing 15, 20 times. I don't see anything. I don't.
Wow. Well, that's kind of like, not to get off topic, they got this show, Paranormal Caught on Camera, they have on the Travel Channel. About 99% of those videos, I'm like, I try to be open-minded, but get real. But again, not to get off topic. Yeah, so.
TikTok dancing guy with head. I don't know. But.
Google it.
It's my response to everything.
So, but no, so now just and one more question to Bob. So, just to kind of, especially if anyone's just now tuning in, to reiterate. So, basically, with the situation going on right now, where, like you said, it's man-made, but you would say that maybe the spirit world is actually been more present than normal on a overall than what they normally are, like maybe being within our realm than what they normally are.
Absolutely.
That's crazy. That's crazy to think of.
Right. Well, that with that being said, I'm wondering what kind of, maybe is there increase in activity people are experiencing?
I just had a thought, and I, as everybody knows, I am known as Skeptic Mike, but this is really interesting to me. And one thing that's kind of interesting, because I was just watching the other day, was how with so many people quarantined right now and so many people off the streets and off the roads, how much Mother Nature is coming back out and how much the sky is becoming more clear, and animals are actually starting to venture out into places they didn't normally venture out because human beings aren't spread out as much and all over the place as much, which I'm actually getting, I'm not going to lie to you, I'm getting goosebumps as I'm talking about this, which I would think, because I look at things as being energy, and that would, in my mind, lend itself to more energy being able to flow freely, which then would go to what was being said. I hope that made sense, but that just gave me goosebumps.
And
I can't believe I heard you say that.
I know. And animals are much more sensitive to the energy than we are.
Yeah.
So are not only feeling that energy, they're also feeling a lot less of, I'm going to call it, for lack of a better term, our commuting energy. We're not flying down 95 at 100 miles an hour screaming at everybody anymore. That all contributes to the energy of the planet.
Wow. That.
Go ahead, sorry.
I took the dog for a walk. We have a lake in my development thing, and I don't usually take them, but I did. And usually, because it's a bunch of people down there all power walking with their designer dogs and not paying attention to their surroundings. Nobody pays attention. So it's difficult for me. So I took him down, and he's sniffing all over he loved it. He just loved it. And we go walking, and instead of him barking, he stops and he's looking. He looks at me, looks down, looks at me. There was a tree. I don't know. It's not a branch, but it's a trunk. I don't know what it is. It was thick, very thick and very big, and it had fallen off the tree. And there was a family of snapper turtles on this thing laying in the sun. Like the mother, the mother and the little baby turtles.
Oh yeah, that's a very good point. Like you said, like, I mean, it comes to regular pollution from everyday commuting, people throwing stuff out on the street where everyone's inside now. And again, where no one's just roaming around disturbing things. I mean, yeah, nature and just overall the environment has, people's houses might be filthy, but overall outside it's getting to be a lot cleaner, I'm sure.
I know I have some squirrels who are enjoying my attic. They're multiplying, by the way. So
it's a romper room for them.
Nobody's going to pick them.
Mm-hmm.
But my ex's family has a place in Florida. And during mating season, you have to be very careful because they're on the beach. You've got to close your shades at night. You can't have the lights on because it interferes with the laying of the eggs and the hatching of the eggs for the sea turtles.
Oh, wow.
That's completely changed. Have you seen how many of these sea turtles they're multiplying like crazy because they don't have that man-made interference.
Yeah. Right. Well, and again, and that's kind of like one of the things thinking is where, again, you're eliminating that energy from obviously the outside. Well, now you're putting everybody in their homes and you're kind of condensing that energy in. So I've been curious to know I wonder how many people that maybe have had activity in a home or a haunting going on that might have been just maybe, and now that energy being trapped where they're stuck inside, has that increased because of that extra type of energy, so to speak? And I'm looking at it on a paranormal investigator side of things too,
I would think it would go on a decline because then it's just too much going on. Because I mean, just again, you guys are the paranormal experts. I just view this and have a sense of it. But from an outsider's perspective, it's always been like abandoned places or places without a lot of people going in. When people go out to do any kind of paranormal investigation, it's a minimal amount of people going to do it. So if you've got too many people at home all the time, I would think that's too much energy, and that's why it's so abundant outside right now, because you've freed up the space. And like Jean was saying, with animals being so more in touch with it and being able to roam a little bit more freely and be less scared of their environment, I think it's more outside than it would be inside. I don't know. I'm getting goosebumps every time I talk. It's weird. Stop doing that.
Playing into the H, they're going to take over.
It only took 7 years. We converted Mike.
There's not as much fear from the spirits that are stuck here in like the paranormal realm to go to the other side. There's a lot more love, and it's a lot more gentle, and there's a lot more higher level beings working here. So I think a lot are going to cross over.
So we have a comment in the chat room. I just wanted to mention this one. Steph says, I've always wanted to be able to communicate with the other side, but also so afraid the outcome wouldn't be so pleasant. So she would love to be able to do something like that, but is so afraid that the outcome, if she did, wouldn't be pleasant. You ever hear people afraid that the outcome wouldn't be pleasant? I guess that's a common fear because you look at it as like the boogeyman or an evilness.
I know. I will say real quick, I've had on that realm again with investigating people where it's almost like, yes, it's been said that, that would scare the hell out of me trying to make contact. But when you're in that thought process that you're actually trying to find answers and you're trying to figure out and communicate, it literally will take that fear away, and you don't really think too much of it. And again, that's just for me on a scientific level of it.
And you know me, I'm always yelling at everybody.
Oh, yeah,
you gotta protect yourself. You gotta do this. There are rules. You gotta follow the rules. Otherwise,
Hey, I've been better.
But once you learn how to do it, you're good.
No,
So, Jean, I have another question. If you're still in contact with your guide,
I could do.
You mentioned animals a few times. And I'm curious, how they play into all this, specifically our pets, because I've heard it said that they are either conduits to the other side or they are representation of the other side. Is that true? Do they have their own spirit guides? Do the spirit guides help them as well? Like, how does that all work?
The spirit guides help them as well. They're closer to the other side than we are. They're, they don't have all our human hangups. And obviously they're more sensitive. You've seen stuff all the time that they're looking, they're this, it's one of the first things we do is we look to the dog like, okay, do you see that too, buddy? Okay. I think some of this is a little stressful on them. But the message that I'm getting is that they're actually our teachers right now. They're showing us the unconditional love.
I thought it was going to be that they're teaching us how to just be stuck at home.
No, they're teaching us about unconditional love. Somebody just chimed in the background, but that was like like a regular spirit, something about and teaching us how to be better humans.
Yeah, I believe that.
But they're our teachers right now.
Interesting.
We're spending a lot more time with them. We're doing a lot more things with them that we normally wouldn't do. We're giving them the love, but really, in a sense, they're showing us that this is kind of how you should have been all. This is how it goes.
Right.
It's okay. You left me on the couch for the past 10 years. You were working, and now all of a sudden you want to come back and walk me around the block 6 times. It's okay. I still love you.
It's like, what the heck happened? Yeah.
So where do go ahead, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to say something quickly because I know this has happened to my dog. It's also happened to me lately. I don't know about anybody dreaming like crazy dreams lately.
Well, I've had a few.
That's also, it's part of the energy. It's also part of the clearing process because we're kind of clearing out the old wounds and clearing out some things that need to be let go of so we can move on. And it's been crazy. I know the dog and I are like, I'm waking up. What the hell was that? And the dog's shaking. And
I haven't really had that full effect of being stuck at home other than the last week because, again, I'm still working. But because of a symptom I had to actually, it's been a week now, I haven't been able to go back to work. So I'm starting now to get that whole, cabin fever type, but not quite yet. So it's kind of like I'm starting to get there where everybody else is.
Give it 5 more weeks.
Give it 5 more weeks.
Yeah, give it a couple more weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. In the beginning of it, I was doing a lot of chores, busy work, baking, cooking, all kinds of stuff. But now, and I'm going to be quite honest with you.
Caught up with everything.
No.
Oh.
I'm down here tonight because my bedroom I tried to redo it and it's halfway done and now I can't pick paint colors and I got 15 colors on the wall, whatever, it'll get done. Okay. But the point is, I have been very much sitting in my stuff. And it sucks. It doesn't feel good, but it needs to be done. And I got to clear that out. I got to find my purpose. But there's my pit bull. My Roomba's making noise.
I was going to say that was your pit bull. What's a robotic pit bull?
She named her Roomba pit bull.
Oh, that's right.
Look,
okay.
Rick's face as he said that.
I've heard this story. Yeah, I've heard the story.
Oh my God!
Haven't you drink too much wine? No, I love it.
Oh, jeez.
I gotta.
You need AA by the time this is over.
You just mentioned wine. Does anything happen? I don't know how to word this. Sensories or anything else become more open when you've drank a little of alcohol, or does it get dulled?
Yeah, how does it affect you if you have alcohol? I see what you're saying.
I never, ever, ever mix the two.
But isn't it not always up to you? Can it just come on sometimes out of nowhere, or does it? No, you have to be in the right frame of mind.
For me,
yeah,
I have learned over the years, it's on, it's off, it's on, it's off.
Okay.
But they'll drive me insane.
Okay, I didn't know how it works. I'm thinking because obviously, I'm a drinker too, and when I drink, I tend to say like, it shuts off my brain a little bit more. It kind of stops the thoughts. So I didn't know if it would dull it or increase it. But obviously, if you're able to, what the hell? Did they want to say something?
Our dogs.
They have questions.
But it's funny because Mike, I see what you're saying. I mean, while yes, Gene, you say you don't want to mix the two. Obvious reasons, the same thing. You don't want to, I say you don't want to investigate, but I've always, and I think Rick and I have talked about that, and Mike, we've all had that conversation, is actually getting someone under the influence of different types, alcohol, that psychedelic drug you were talking about, where like your
ayahuasca
sensories, your sensories are going crazy, and then putting yourself in a situation of so-called communicating for the other side or investigating, what kind of results could happen.
But there's a lot of people that also believe very strongly that psychedelics like mushrooms or other psychedelics are a gateway into other dimensions, other realms, or other the other side of some kind.
In a controlled setting.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
That setting is very controlled. They do that in the Poconos, by the way. But it's definitely in a setting, whether it's a group who's doing it together with somebody who is monitoring it and knows what they're doing. Yes.
Wow.
But not willy-nilly. I would never. You're opening yourself up to a whole.
But do you buy into that thought process that something like, I'm using mushrooms because it comes from the earth and that kind of feeds into my whole theory. Something like
encouraging listeners to try drugs.
Unless you're an adult and you are in a group in the Poconos. But do you buy into that whole thought process that it taps into something in the brain that maybe opens it to a different, I don't want to say dimension, but you know what I'm trying to get at.
It's just something different.
I don't know enough about it myself. However, I do know people who are a lot like me who have gone and done that.
Gotcha.
And the results were kind of, people like me kind of really went off the edge. It was scary wild. And then the other ones were, I guess, had an interesting time. But they believed in it, so I can only go by what they said.
Right.
Well,
okay.
Like I think Rick, you had mentioned one time too. We had this discussion, like when someone does take something like that changes your mindset to where you're in a sense under the influence of whatever, high or anything. Is it really or is your brain just in a sense, like you said, opening up to a whole nother?
There's actual science behind that, because they've proven that when you take things like ayahuasca, it literally rewires the circuitry of your brain. Your neural connections literally change. So it's like rewiring a radio. So, and I've used that analogy a few times. Like if you have a radio that on a normal day only gets a 5-mile radius, and you rewire that radio, you may have a 20-mile radius. So now you're picking up 15 miles out that you didn't get before. Now, whatever is being broadcast in those 15 miles was always there. You just couldn't hear it. Now you can.
Right. It's kind of like, going back. Sorry, go ahead, Gene.
That would be different from somebody like me who shuts my brain down in order to bring the other things in, Right. And I just want to say really quickly that when you drink, and drugs too, and are kind of open, sometimes what happens is spirits who were heavy duty drinkers and hang on your back for a while because they feed off that drug energy still, or that alcohol energy still. So that's not a door I would ever want to open, because they haven't passed over yet. So they're still looking for that fix, and they're going to try and get it as close to it as they can.
Wow.
Right. See that, Mike?
I know.
Makes you think twice, doesn't it?
I'm just glad the goosebumps and my hair standing up on end have stopped. So
I do.
You just have to learn. I teach you how to protect yourself before you drink. That's all you got to do.
I do. I wrap myself in bubble wrap and then I start drinking.
Say a prayer to Guinness.
That's what I was saying. Yeah. Well, no. I just thought of something too, Gene. I was watching something the other day. And what they were doing was they were talking about, again, we know we've discussed before, like back in I think it was like the 60s or 70s, when the government actually used, psychics and people with abilities as well as experimenting. I mean, they created LSD, so to speak, but they used to try to, figure out the enemy, and they really fully believed in that. Now, one of the things I was watching specifically was, I forget what it was called, but you guys will probably be able to help me, but where someone can sit down and meditate or concentrate and actually make themselves go to a specific location and describe it mentally. I forget what it was called, but I was watching, again, watching something where they did, that's it, remote viewing. Now, I'm curious, obviously, seeing what you do. What's that?
I said James taught us that.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, actually, is how far of a difference is it compared to what you have the gift of doing to being able to do remote viewing, or can you actually potentially do that?
I think the difference is, I don't know where they get their remote view from, what source they're remote view from.
So it's not like spirit, so to speak. Okay.
I don't know about them, but for me it is. I mean, if I'm doing a reading and I say to spirit, okay, show me, and they walk me through the house, I'll say, take me through the house, show me. Okay, well, I'm in the kitchen and I got I have a table over here, and here's the living room, and I go up 3 stairs and I make a left, and there's a door over here, and I go through the door, and there's a picture, and there's a this, and there's a that, and I go to the drawer, I take the drawer out and open it up.
Well, that movie, remember that movie a few years ago, the Men Who Stare at Goats? That was all about remote viewing. It was Russell Targ, and how the U.S. government tried to weaponize their abilities. And basically, they were being given a target. Usually it was Soviet Union at the time. It was during the Cold War. So whereas Gene, it's kind of the same thing. You had a target that you were given or that you thought of yourself. This was just someone else giving them a target to shoot at.
Right.
So there always has to be a target. Now I don't know what the medium is. I don't know what the vector is to go from you to that place. I don't know. I don't know if
it's
they
almost like
that
Gene, you're led. It's almost like Gene in a sense in which she does. She's led there to where people who remote view in a sense they can go there. They're like, it seems like.
I don't know how they go there. For me, it's this. It's whoever I'm talking to, and I'll say to them, "Show me, take me through. Give me something. You got to give me more than that. Show me." And then they show me the pictures and they walk me through, and I'm just describing what I'm seeing.
Right.
Gotcha. Yeah, because it was crazy what I was watching. A guy was given a target, but he was all of a sudden came across another place that was underground that was this high-tech government place, and it was crazy. I mean, I've heard and I've a little bit about remote viewing before, but it's just so interesting the different gifts, so to speak, that we have the ability of doing.
James do it. He is amazing. I mean, he takes people down into the basement to the 5th corner box in the back and open it up, and there's the ashtray that somebody got at like Club 54 or something. You're like,
it's like, you forgot to flush the toilet, so let's go back.
I saw him and say she's talking about the ashtray. She's talking, and they're like, "No, I don't have any ashtrays in your house." He's like, "Yeah, you don't." She's talking about the ashtray in your house. Like, "I don't have any ashtrays in your house." So he'll look up and he'll go, "Okay, show me." And he would take him down into the basement, and here's the box, and here's the, and he'll be pulling out 4 boxes from behind, open it up, and there's your mother's box with the ashtray and the box of, doilies or something. And the movement's like,
that's just freaking it. That's just that things like that. I mean, obviously, all the weird stuff I've looked at. That right there is just, for some reason, out of everything, it blows my mind to being able to do something like that.
So, Jean, when
I
you went
just
to
had
this,
one not too long ago.
when you go ahead,
the back door. It was they were showing me the kitchen, and the door behind me had the panes in it. It was like one of the old white wooden ones with the panes of glass square. And I said, "I don't understand. It keeps changing. There's 4 panels. Now there's 6. Now there's 4. Now there's 6. It's changing. And it turns out that when the spirit was alive, there were 4 panels of glass in that door. And they changed the door, and now 6.
Interesting. That's, wow.
Even tempted as I see it, that would drive me insane.
So with this class you took with James, it was to enhance your ability overall, I guess. It's just a ballpark way of putting it.
Last pick, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. So, and this is going to sound like a general question, but how? Because you have your ability, but how did you enhance that? Like
he, and as you know, I took 2 years. So the first year was the graduate course. You had to be working for at least 3 years, or I forget what the requirements were. And he gives you techniques. He teaches you how to use different techniques. He teaches you how to try new things. Like the trance mediumship, like they do in the movie Ghost. Remember I told you that he taught me that?
Right.
I almost fell off my freaking chair. I didn't know I could do that. When
Oda May.
Yeah, like when you can actually change your face to make it look like the person who's in you, just like Oda May. You know what I mean? Like when you lift up, you have the look of that person for a good, 3, 4, 5 seconds.
Mike's stunned right now.
I don't want to see that shit. I never want to see that.
I can show you. Do you want to?
No, not really. I'm going to go start drinking right now.
But yeah, and he teaches you how to take the spirit from here, that I usually talk to, usually up here, and I'm like, and to get them to stand behind me. And there's the process that you do, and then it's not quite as easy as Ghost. And then, they come in and you feel like them. And, when you lift your head up, your face actually looks like them for a couple seconds. And then you say what you say. And
Mike goes into the fetal position, starts crying, grabs a bottle of whiskey and starts downing it.
You can make pottery and vases and whatnot.
I'm sorry.
And then there's a process.
Real fast. Excuse me.
Okay.
What did he have to go
do? There's a
do?
process for getting them out. So he had a bunch of classes like that where he would walk you through it. And he does it in such a kind, loving way that you feel safe enough, that you trust him enough to do what he says.
Well, is that in a sense spirit possession, right? I mean, when you boil it down.
It's called transmediumship. Because I'm in charge.
Okay.
And Ratiki.
Your hot Arabian guide.
Yes. There's gonna be
Listen, you gotta have a guide. You might as well be a hot Arabian, right?
We're selling this show to Fox right now. You and your hot Arabian guy.
I didn't pick him. He was there.
Mike's probably looks like Chunk from the Goonies.
I was gonna say, but a girl version. That's what it is. It's exactly what it is. The girl version.
Go and say, okay, I'll pick the the pinup girl over there. It doesn't work like that.
If it did, I'm in.
Yeah, right.
I know. I just lucked out.
Jean, I have a question. If somebody's listening in again, where everybody has got a lot of time on their hands, and they hear you, giving information and speaking to your spirit, guides, and saying that everyone has that ability to communicate with it. What are some ways and some things that maybe somebody can do to attempt to reach out and communicate with their guides, or at least get some answers from them if they're looking for guidance?
Okay. I do this every day. I sit in the quiet, and when I say quiet, I mean quiet, undisturbed, for 20 minutes a day. Mm-hmm. And I breathe in the white light and I let it go down very slowly. It's their breaths, but they're count of 4 breaths. I breathe it in on the count of 1, 2, 3, 4. I hold it for 4. And on my out breath, I let it go. So anything that's been bothering me or anything I'm holding on to, I let it go with that breath. And then I bring in the light, and I do that for a little while. And then I'll say, okay. And then Rafiki comes, and I say good morning to him. And then I said it again, didn't I? I said his name wrong. And then he pulls up a window shade, a blind.
Did he yell at you for calling his name wrong?
They come in. No, he's really nice. I just feel bad that I can, it's been a couple of years now. He works his ass off for me. You think I can get his name?
I thought you were mad. Who are you?
But see, they don't care about They don't care about names. They only give us names because they know that we do. Names are a human thing. They don't care.
Yeah, I've always wanted to change my name.
Yeah, me too.
I told you, mine would be Toxic Radio. First name Toxic, name.
Stop it.
All right. Well, Mike, why don't we take another break here, and when we come back, we'll start wrapping things up.
All right.
Here on Paradelphia on Toxic Radio. Get ready to wrap up for the evening. So, Jean, thank you for taking the time and effort, because I know it does take an effort to do what you did tonight. Thank you. And tell your guides thank you for taking the time.
Actually, they're thanking you.
Oh,
yeah.
For letting them be heard.
Yeah. Well, hey, anytime.
You'll have good dreams tonight.
Oh.
Anytime. What? Anytime they want to come back. So before we wrap up, I know, Doug, you wanted to talk about something with regard to jumps.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of quick because, again, connection. But basically, look out on Facebook tomorrow. I've had a lot of people have interest in this, and a lot of people wanting to sign up. But beginning in May, starting tomorrow, people can sign up. And then in May, I'm going to be doing an online paranormal investigator course, kind of give guidance and teach people the ins and outs of what it takes to be a paranormal investigator. And again, just also kind of give people something to learn and do during this time anyway. But they're going to be up tomorrow, as well as the link on information, as well as, link for payment. And again, that'll start on May 4th, the class. But everybody has until next Wednesday, the 29th, to sign up. But again, It'll all be on the Jumps Facebook.
All right. And Jean, you have a Facebook page if anybody wanted to reach out to you for readings or anything, any kind of information.
Yes, my Facebook page is Psychic Medium Jean M. Durkin. My website is the same. It has all my information up there. And if I can get my daughter to stop using TikTok, I just received the video of my appearance out in San Diego with James. So if I can get her off TikTok, she can get that on my website pretty soon, and that'll be there.
Very cool.
So,
Very cool.
and late night call 1-900-GENE.
Yeah, no, we don't. Gene has all shut down after 9, 10 o'clock at night. Can't be calling me at 2 o'clock in the morning anymore, people. I learned do not disturb.
Jesus.
And Mike, I know you want to plug the hell out of Toxic.
Well, yeah. Well, thank you. So as far as Toxic goes, it was a little bit of a bumpy settling after all this stuff went down. Kind of scrambling around to get everything in order. I think we finally have got there. I've kind of dealt with my whole thing of the emotional dealings with what happened, as far as, you know, quarantine and not having people in here and everything. So I've been in talks with all of the shows, and pretty much every single show with over the next couple of weeks is going to be doing shows back here on Toxic. So look forward to the Toxic Takeover, Hungry for Hope, Red Band Underground, all the other shows, Shock Culture Now. I talked to all the shows. They're going to be coming back in this capacity that we're doing right now. So it's not going to be everybody in the studio and you know, having a great time in the studio, but we're going to have a great time with social distancing. So stay tuned. We'll let you know when we're going to be going live with each and every show, but look forward to your favorite shows coming up. And of course, you could do that by making sure that you like us on Facebook, Toxic Radio Live on Facebook. That's where we do all of our video streaming. And as far as listening to the audio version and all the podcasts, download the Toxic Radio app, go to toxicradio.net, and just, you know, get infected. It just doesn't really work as great anymore, but still get infected with Toxic.
What's an unfortunate choice?
Yes.
What's the network called again?
I just got that.
Yeah. So, Gene, if you look at some of our promotional items, and if you when you share Toxic Radio's site on social media, it comes up with a girl with a surgical mask splashed with blood, and at the bottom it says "Get infected." Now we've had that for years, and it's kind of.
It's just now. It's just now everyone notices it. That's always how it works.
Now it becomes something different.
Hey, any kind of promotion is good promotion. You know
absolutely, absolutely.
Why not?
And thank you guys, and thank you to Rick for continuing to do Paradelphia here and there when he could, but because of Paradelphia continuing to be on the air through the hiccups and through the bumps that we've had, that's how we've gotten to this point where we've pretty much ironed out all of the little technical difficulties to be able to bring the show today, where we don't have any real audio issues, no real video issues, other than the internet, and we can't really fix the internet. So thank you, thank you, Rick.
It's like Apollo 10. They had to take that to figure out all the crap before they landed on the moon.
Exactly.
For all you space geeks
and this
there.
was landing on the moon. I don't think it is, but it was, sure.
As far as us, we are on Facebook. We're also on Twitter at Paradelphia. All right, so we're going to wrap things up for the evening. Again, thanks to Gene for coming on and doing the readings. Not really reading, but the mediumship, I guess. I'm not quite sure how to word that.
Guidance from the guide.
You know,
channeling the guide.
Channeling the guides.
Now I can take my clothes back off.
Oh boy.
Anyway.
For Doug and for Mike, again, I'm Rick. We're Paradelphia, and we're out of here.
Good night.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.